Hello everyone and welcome back to 27 Fox Place. It's been almost 110 degrees here this week and I have some yard work to catch up on. Even the overnight lows have been in the upper 70s, so we've been in a rush to get started on the yard. And I always start out by making the bed, especially if I have a busy day ahead. So I try to make the bed first thing before the day has a chance to get away from me. And after a quick tidy around the house, I headed right outside.
Full stop. Can't believe I live in your thoughts. I think about you all the time, morning, evening, and midnight. Such a wonderful delight. Forgo, give up everything.
It was already 80 degrees when we got started and the humidity was high, which made this job even more miserable. And I was tempted to put this job off for another week when the weather cools down. But the trimmings make a mess in the neighbor's yard too, so we always have to coordinate with the neighbors before we trim. And so this was our window of opportunity, and fall is right around the corner and I wanted to do some replanting in this area while there's still time for the plants to fill in.
I've come out here to say that I love you.
If you're new here, my name is Randy and I make videos for cleaning and organizing motivation, and I post new videos every Friday, so if you enjoy this type of content, be sure to take a minute and hit that subscribe button.
So slow, hold you in my arms, won't let go. The world around could pass us by, a thunderstorm, a lightning strike, as we hold each other tight. You're the rose in a garden, and it shows if I'm honest. You're the leaves.
This hedge is great for privacy, but it's the biggest job in the yard, and the height makes it a challenge to prune, and the cleanup has its own obstacles. And there's not much time left in the growing season, so we'll probably only have to trim one more time this year. It was already 100 degrees by the time we finished up outside, so after a much needed shower, I threw together a quick lunch, and it was too hot to cook, so I put some corn on the grill to go with the salad, and I just chopped up some lettuce for the salad and heated up some leftover chicken.
And I've come out here to say that I love you. I was never the one to write.
I like to have a freshly made meal for dinner, but the leftovers always make a good lunch the next day, and a great way to use up the leftovers is to add them to salad. And I'm keeping it simple today and just adding some dried cranberries and some pumpkin seeds, and I'll dress it with a simple vinaigrette.
'Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. And I feel so free, oh my sweet baby. was stuck. I kept on playing my part, wanting to give up cause nothing was changing. But with you it's so clear, and now that you're here I see colors and never respect.
There's not a lot of cleanup to do. My husband cleared away the dishes and there's a few things that I need to put away. And cleanup goes a lot faster with an empty dishwasher. But the dishwasher wasn't full enough to run the night before and we didn't run it until after breakfast this morning. So I needed to empty the dishwasher, but before I do that, I want to put everything away and wipe down the countertops.
Sweet baby. Myself, and I'm thinking out loud, we won't need nothing else for the rest of our time. And I know it so well, I will always be by your side. Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. And I feel so free, oh my sweet baby. Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. And I feel so free, oh my sweet baby.
One of my pet peeves is having to take extra time to search for something I need. So keeping the lids and the containers together is something that only takes a few seconds to do, but it will save so much time and aggravation later on.
Give me your strength and show me your weakness. We're in this together now. We're in this together now. Give me your love and tell me your secrets. Cause we're in this together now. Yeah, we're in this together now. I'll keep you safe, I'll give you my everything. Even if we're falling down, even if we're falling down, all of me is yours, every part of me. Cause we're in this together now, you and me together now. What's the point of living if we're scared to lose each other? What's the point of living without you? Tell me now, and I'll stop fighting. Tell me now, and I'll stop breathing. I don't want to be here without you. Without you. Without you. I'll be your light, I'll keep you from darkness. Even when the sun don't shine, even when the sun don't shine. Give me your strength and show me your weakness. Cause we're in this together now. You and me together now. We're scared to lose each other.
The kitchen sponge is still my go-to for wiping up crumbs and food spills when I clean up, but the crumbs get stuck in the microfiber cloth, so it's harder to rinse out than the sponge, but I like to use the microfiber to give everything a final wipe down to get rid of the germs and bacteria. After a busy morning, I decided to take the rest of the day off, and the next day I started with a quick tidy around the house. Refilling the hummingbird feeders is becoming a part of my daily routine, and I try to refill 1 or 2 feeders a day so that they're not all empty at the same time, but they've been busy and over half the feeders were empty this morning. The hummingbirds are the most active in the early mornings and early evenings, and we've been getting more and more hummingbirds lately. We have 6 feeders, and for the past few years I was only filling the feeders halfway, maybe once a week, and now I'm topping them off and refilling them every few days. I keep a supply of nectar in the fridge. If the feeders stay empty for too long, the birds will move on to greener pastures. And I just put the empty containers back in the fridge until I have a chance to refill them. When I bought this dish rack, I thought that I would keep it under the sink when I wasn't using it. It rolls up so that it doesn't take up much space, but I actually like having it over the sink even when I don't have dishes drying, and I like that it fits over the sink so that the water doesn't drain all over the countertop. The patio door was full of nose prints again, so I decided to take a minute and wash the bottom half of the door. And when I cleaned the door, rain was the furthest thing from my mind. But it rained a few hours later, so I ended up trading nose prints for water spots. And I'm just using water and a squeegee to clean the glass. It's one of the fastest ways to get a streak-free shine. I usually mop the floors at least once a week, but I usually need to mop again after a busy weekend, especially if we've been working outside. And I could add the cleaning solution directly to the water tank, but I like to rinse the soap off the floors, so instead I spray granite cleaner directly onto the floor, and I use the machine to clean the floor with a few passes, and I'll make a final pass with the water in the tank to rinse them. I try to include most links in the description box, but be sure to leave a comment if you have a question about anything, or if you need a link to something that isn't listed in the description box. The rug in the kitchen is an outdoor mat that we found at Costco, and sometimes I move the mat when I clean the floor, and other times I leave it in the kitchen so I can clean the mat. And the machine that I use is a multi-surface cleaner, but it's not a carpet cleaner, but it can clean small areas of low pile like this mat.
Lifetime if you were at sea. I just wanna say that I feel that our love is real. Maybe we should hurry up and seal the deal. Oh, oh, I just wanna love you right. Oh, oh, love you till the end of time. I just wanna hold you for forever. Every day you're making me better. 'Cause a love like this is rare.
I cleaned the dog bowls before I mopped the floor, so I needed to put down some fresh water for the dogs, and the dogs love cold water, but the water from the tap is more like bath water because of the heat, so I added some ice to the bowl so they would have something cold to drink.
Make our love a story that would never end.
I've been looking for candles for the patio, and I finally found this set at Costco, and once the weather cools down we'll be able to spend more time outside, and they should add a nice warm glow to the evenings.
Oh, oh, I just wanna love you right. Oh, oh, love you till the end of time. I just wanna hold you for forever. Every day you're making me better. 'Cause a love like this is rare. And I wanna take you there. If I'm gonna love somebody, I just wanna love you. If I'm gonna love somebody.
And while I was outside putting up the candles, the wind started to pick up, and I was so sure that it wouldn't rain I didn't even think about covering the furniture, and the storm blew in so fast that there wasn't time, and we were so excited to finally see some rain that we forgot all about everything getting soaked.
Oh, oh, I just wanna love you right. Oh, oh, love you till the end of time. I just wanna hold you for forever. Every day you're making me better. 'Cause a love like
One of the last things I like to do at the end of the day is start a load of laundry for the next day, and I program the washer to run so that I can put the clothes in the dryer first thing in the morning. And I had some towels to wash, so I was able to wash all the whites, and I just added a scoop of OxyClean along with some vinegar in the rinse cycle to help whiten the whites.
I don't think that I'm being that selfish right now. You said yourself you'd be breaking every vow. I can understand you're tired of this town.
So I'm able to get the clothes in the dryer as soon as I get up, and the clothes are dry by the time I finish with my morning routine, and I don't have to wait for the clothes to wash, so I'm able to finish a load of laundry in the morning, which is a huge time saver.
Same world but without us. Something made us find each other out there. Made us realize we're more than just stardust. Ignore this fact if you must, to do what your dreams are telling you to do. And I'll be out there looking for someone like you. Stardust.
Whether I clean the coffee pot in the morning or wait until the later in the evening depends on the day, and most of the time I wash the coffee maker after dinner and set up the coffee for the next morning, but I had a minute this morning so I decided to take care of it. And we have a reusable filter, and I just toss the grounds outside in the yard before I rinse it out and put it back.
It's hard to think straight. If you still love me, I can wait, and remember this. We could have been stardust, same world, but without us. Something made us find each other out there. Made us realize we're more than just stardust. Ignore this fact if you must, to do what your dreams are telling you to do. And I'll be out there looking for someone like you. Supposed to go, maybe I'm just too slow. We should just lean together. We could have been stardust, same world but without us.
Another huge time saver is to have a robot vacuum clean up downstairs, and this robot vacuum cleans the entire area in a perfect grid pattern, and when it's full it returns to the dock and empties its tank before it heads out again.
I'll be out there looking for someone like you.
So while Rosie was cleaning inside, I took a few minutes to clean up outside, and the unexpected rain left quite a mess. I had to clean up all the leaves and dirt on the patio with a leaf blower, and then I used a microfiber cloth to clean up the dirt and the water spots.
There's a new day to wash away the pain. There's a new day to take away your sorrow and the old ways get washed out by the rain. Darling, you've got to keep holding on through the night, 'cause I promise you this. If you try to get some sleep, if you give up the fight, if only just for a bit. There's a new day to leave behind your troubles. There's a new day and it will set you free. There's a new day to get you through your struggles. I will always think of you and me. Darling, you've got to keep holding on through the night, 'cause I promise you this.
The day started out to be another scorcher, so the cushions dried in record time, but I pulled the pillows off so that they would get enough air circulation to fully dry.
The fight, if only just for a bit. There's a new day, it is waiting for us. There's a new day waiting round the bend. There's a new day and it will restore.
There wasn't much laundry to fold, but the garage was just too hot, so I took the clothes upstairs, and because the whites are mostly socks, it was easy to get everything put away. That's all for today. If you like this video, remember to give it a thumbs up and be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications before you go. And thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I hope to see you next time.